Hello, crafty friends, and welcome back to my channel. Today, I'm sharing an interactive edge to edge shake card with a very clean and simple twist. Think bright pops of color, plenty of sparkle, yet a minimal and elegant card front. Well, before we dive in, I would really appreciate if you could take a moment to subscribe to my channel and hit the bell icon so that you get notified every time I post a new video. Let's take a quick look at the products that I'll be using for today's card. Now, I have the Layered Autumn Leaves stamp set by Cat Scrappiness, one of their older releases, but still one of my absolute favorites whenever I'm working on any fall themed or Thanksgiving card projects. My original plan was to simply stamp the leaves and die cut them using the coordinating dies, but for my first Thanksgiving project of the year, I wanted to try something different, so instead I decided to make a shaker card. Now, the set includes two layers of each of those images, a base layer and the detail layer that adds those beautiful, intricate accents. But for today's card project, I'll skip the stamps altogether and we will be using only the dies to create our shaker window. To start off, I have two A2 size white cardstock panels. The first one will serve as the window layer and the second will be the base of our edge to edge shaker pocket. For the window panel, I'm arranging several of those die cut leaves across the surface of my card panel. Now, I'm not being very precise with the placement here. Instead, I'm scattering them randomly with a couple even overhanging the edges. That's actually part of the charm of this edge to edge shaker design. Now, once the dies are positioned in place, I ran the panel through my Spellbinder's Platinum 6 die cutting machine. Now, I will set aside all of the leaves that are cut out from this white cardstock panel, and well, they'll be perfect for another project. For today, I will keep the main panel with this lovely leaf-shaped windows for our cut today. For this technique, it's important to make sure that both panels align perfectly and are exactly the same size, especially since two of those leaves extend past the edge of the window panel. With the front panel ready, it's time to now work on the background that will sit inside our shaker pocket. We are going to do some beautiful ink blending in rich fall tones. We have warm shades of orange, brown, reds, and greens. Now, whenever I'm ink blending, I like to work on my Glassboard Studios magnetic glass mat, especially for projects like these where I'm using multiple colors that'll go off the edge of the panel. The glass surface makes blending smoother and cleanup is a breeze. Just a quick spritz of water and a wipe with a microfiber cloth does the trick. And well, there are magnets included, which are perfect for holding your panel in place if you're working with ink blending and stenciling, or well, even with pastes and other texture material. Well, I started with oranges and pinks on my panel. Just as we scattered the leaf dyes randomly on our first panel, I'm ink blending color randomly across the background, not aiming for perfection, but for a beautifully organic blended look. I periodically place the window panel over it to make sure color peeks through every die cut opening on my first panel. The blending might look a bit splotchy at this stage, but don't worry, once it's paired with that intricate die cut window panel, the end result will be absolutely gorgeous. If you want to add lots of dimension to your shaker card, the key to make sure is that none of those die cut openings extend too far towards the edge of your cardstock panel. You'll need a solid border where you can place your foam tape without it showing through the leaf windows. Now that we are wrapping up with this beautiful ink blended background, I'm absolutely loving how the colors turned out. This design, well intended to create a Thanksgiving card, would also work perfectly for a festive birthday card too. With all those vibrant shades, it almost feels like a burst of confetti or even a cheerful balloon filled backdrop. I'll take one last look with my front window panel in place just to be sure there's enough color concentrated behind each of those openings before moving on to my shaker pocket. Now, to create my shaker pocket, I'm using a plastic sleeve, the kind that I normally use to store my finished cards in. Now, I'll cut it apart to make two separate sheets, which will be enough for two shaker cards. Well, if you want, you could also place this entire background assembly right inside the plastic sleeve to create your shaker pockets. I place my background panel over one of those plastic sheets with the ink blended side facing down towards the plastic. Next, I apply double sided tape along the two longer edges of the panel. After removing the backing, I fold the plastic over and seal both the long sides. Once those are secure, I add tape to both the shorter sides, but I will seal only one of them for now. Now, whenever I'm working with plastic, I like using double sided tape instead of a liquid glue because that I feel gives more strong hold as compared to the liquid glue, which might ooze out or give a more messy finish to your card front. Now, once I have adhered tape to the shorter sides and sealed one of those shorter sides, this is the stage where we have an open pocket ready for our sequin mix. Now, I'll keep the backing on the final short side of the tape in place until I've filled the pocket with all those tiny sparkly shaker bits. For the shaker pocket, I'm using a mix of gold and brown glitters, the perfect pairing for our Thanksgiving theme. Now, my mix includes brilliant gold heart sequins, platinum gold glitter sequins, and espresso glitter sequins, all by Cat Scrappiness. Once I'm happy with the amount of sparkle inside my pocket, I remove the adhesive backing from the double sided tape on the remaining side and we can seal this pocket completely. With that, our edge to edge shaker window is ready. I like to trim away any excess plastic hanging over the edges so that the card has a very clean and polished finish. Next, I'll place my window panel over this beautiful shaker background. I love the colors and the sparkle and the shine. Well, yet once you keep the window panel, you see that the overall design still feels very clean and simple. Now, before adhering the front panel onto the shaker background, I'll stamp my sentiment directly onto this window panel. For the sentiment, I'm using the Have a Happy Thanksgiving sentiment from the Autumn Lantern add on set by Cat Scrappiness. The set includes several autumn and Thanksgiving themed images, but today I'm focusing solely on the sentiment from that set. I placed my window panel into my Altenew stamp wheel and I used the grid transparency sheet to perfectly align the sentiment in one of the open spaces on the panel. Then I stamped it using VersaFine Onyx Black ink for a crisp, bold impression. Now that all of the elements are ready, we have the clean and simple die cut window with the stamped sentiment and the gorgeous ink blended shaker pockets filled with those sparkly bits. It's time to assemble everything into a beautiful card front. I began by adhering the window panel onto the shaker pocket. Here I'm using liquid glue instead of a double-sided tape. This will allow a little wiggle room for perfect alignment before I finally commit to adhering the panel onto my shaker pocket. Once I was happy with the placement, I used liquid glue again to attach this entire assembly onto a top folding card base. Well, I have to admit, before adhering the shaker assembly onto the card base, I had a bit of fun playing with the shaker. It was so satisfying to watch how those colorful bits inside the pocket contrasted beautifully with the ink blended background showing through the leaf windows. And with that, our very clean and simple, interactive, edge to edge Thanksgiving shaker card is complete. I love how vibrant the ink blended background peeks through all those beautiful die cut leaves, and the sparkly shaker bits add just the right amount of fun and dimension. This card manages to be festive and colorful, yet very clean and simple. Well, all the supplies that I used to create this card project will be listed down in the description box below. Please note that all of those links are affiliate links, which means that if you shop using one of my links, I'll get a small commission at no cost to you guys. I hope you enjoyed creating this with me and feel inspired to try your own shaker cards with a fall twist. Thank you again for joining me today. Until next time, stay safe.